Hello, you lovely, lovely people, and good morning to you. What a wonderful day. The sun is shining. My boy's in school. It's my wife's turn today to take my son to school. My day off from doing that. And this is again regarding comments that I get quite often, in fact, is, you know, could people actually live here on a state pension? And obviously, it depends what state pension regarding what country that you are coming from. But let's just say the UK. And right now, the exchange rate is very good. So I don't think you can base it on today's exchange rate because it might, the peso might become stronger. So what you're planning on coming now, if you're not already here, and you're thinking, well, it's like 80 or whatever it is at the moment, could be a little bit more, could be a little bit less. I haven't checked it today. But like I think 80 pesos or something like that to one British pound, which is excellent. But I think if you base it on that, and then you come here, and then all of a sudden it goes to 78, 76, 70. It's been as low as in the 60s before, I remember. But what you got to think is, if you've only got a state pension, okay, and you've got no savings whatsoever, then I think most expats when they come here, you're probably one medical bill away from disaster, because we never know. And let's be honest, people, most of the people who come to the Philippines are at retirement age or very close to, because I think the fallacy of coming here and chasing a luxury lifestyle on a state pension is just not feasible. This is just my opinion of living here, okay? It's not statistics or anything like that. It's just my opinion of living here. I think you've got to shed your ego. You've got to shed that ego. And I think you've got to embrace like a provincial life where I am. I'm in the province and I'm enjoying a provincial life. I've got no ego. I never have. I'm a very humble man. And thank heaven, my wife is very humble as well. But I think this is the main thing, is you've got to get rid of that ego and think that's, your British pound is just going to stretch and stretch and stretch. Well, I think you've got to get that out of your mind before your bank balance hits zero. Really, truly. Now, again, depending where you live, I live in Mindanao. I'm not too far from Dipolog. I'm out in the province, and I am out in the sticks. I really am. Some of my subscribers have actually been here, visited me, and seen where I live. And I must say, every single one has said, you live in a beautiful part, this is beautiful where your house is, where your orchard is, just outside your back garden. It's a beautiful place where I am. But not all provincial places are like this. Let's just say that, Not to say that they're bad, but I think I've got a good layout. I think that we were very lucky here. We were very lucky to be able, to buy the land that was adjoining our land. So we're very lucky there. But getting back to living here on a state pension, well, I think you can, depending where you live. I mean, if you live in Cebu City, if you live in Metro Manila, I will guarantee you're going to find it tight, if doable at all. And you've got to think, are you coming back, for yourself? Are you going to be living on your own? Are you going to plan on getting a Filipino partner? Or are you just happy, you're contented mooching around by yourself? That's a big, budget killer if you are with someone else. And, you're paying for two, unless, you're fortunate enough where your Filipino has her own income. Or, she comes from a wealthy family where she doesn't need to be dipping into your pocket. So there's many things to consider, but 2026 right now is because of the fuel crisis, and of course with the fuel crisis, it just doesn't stop there. All the logistics of getting all of the the goods to the shops, it all costs extra money. For example, we went shopping on Sunday, and every time we go shopping, we get more or less the same items, more or less. Apart from my little boy, Caden, he goes around putting all kinds of bits and pieces in there. When you get to the checkout, you think, where's that come from? He's put it in there. But we've definitely seen not just a small change. We've seen quite a big change over this last 3 months. We've seen a big change in increases and how things are rising. And if you're on a fixed budget, you've got no extra income coming in. If you're just on a state pension, then it's like that, isn't it? So you've got to be very careful. And I think go to the true survival in the province. And this is just me speaking, okay? And I do follow my words to a degree, but I don't buy the fish or anything from a wet market. I don't. I know it's cheap there, but I go to the fishing boats because I'm not too far away from the coast. So I jump in the car, and I normally do it on a Saturday morning. I jump in the car and I go, and I'm there at 4 o'clock in the morning waiting for the boats to come in to buy the fish directly off the boat. It's fresh, no flies, and that's how we get our fish for maybe, I might buy 2 weeks worth of fish. But I think if you're going to go into like S&Ms and things like this, and this video is not for people who's got massive amounts of savings, or you're from a country where your pension is very big. It's not for you, this video. It's for people who are on a small pension and maybe small savings, okay? So, you've got to source your food from local markets. Like I said, don't buy them in S&M, because if you do, you're going to get like a wrapper with like 2 potatoes in it or something like that, or a wrapper with a piece of broccoli in it, which is just overpriced. And it's, to me, I've never found a piece of fresh stuff, like fresh where it's just been picked and it's on the shelf for display. I've never found that here. But we're quite lucky being in the province, because people come around here selling vegetables, and that's how we normally get ours these days. There's a lot more people coming down from the mountains, because we are in the mountains, and they come down and they just carry it round. There's a motorcycle rider and the person's on the back, and they've got a big basket, and you get cabbage and pumpkin, calabasa as they call it here, carrots, onions, garlic, anything like that. And it is quite fresh. It is quite fresh. And it's very cheap. Very, very cheap. And many of us come here with like a luxury dream, and I don't think you're going to get it on a 70,000 peso budget. You can have a luxury if you don't spend too much on your accommodation. I think this is a big factor as well, where many foreigners come here, and you instantly think, well, I can't live there because there's dogs barking, or there's kids running around. You're going to find that everywhere, unless you go to like a subdivision, where they have the security at the gate, and it's a little bit more civilized in them places, but you pay, you're paying for that. So there are many things to consider. How far your pension will go is to the lifestyle in which you want to lead, not leave. But we've mastered the art. I mean, I've been for 9 years, so I've mastered the art of cutting out big expenditures, and like I said in previous videos, we don't scrimp and scrape. We eat well every day. We eat well every day, and now that we found out how to make the pork and everything, and the beef actually soft and fall off the bone, I'm happy. But it's not just about luck, really. With your state pension, you can't just go there and think, well, I might be able to do it. I think I would forward plan a little bit, get your accommodation before you come here if you can, so you know how much you're going to be paying for that. Think of the price of electric. I mean, in different provinces, it's a different, it's a different cost per kilowatt hour. Here, I think is about 16 or 17 pesos here where we are now per kilowatt hour. So we've seen an increase in our bills as well. Nothing is going to come down. Everything is increasing. But I'm not saying cutting costs where you're losing your sanity. You're losing your sanity, thinking, God, I can't live there. I'm cutting this. I'm cutting that. I'm just existing. You've got to get into that way of life where you get rid of your ego. You'll get rid of that westernized way of thinking. If you've got everything's got to be top notch. It's got to be top notch. And something else I've discovered as well, people. I discovered a long time, but I've only just started doing it, is all of my clothes, like I used to go to a Meagle or somewhere like that, and they were crap. You know, they were nice for a couple of washes. After that, just not good at all. So my wife goes to the, to the Ukai, and that is where many countries send their garments, their clothes to here. And the people here, they sell them, and it's all labelled stuff. Most of it is labelled and good quality stuff, and most of it is bloody good. It's like kind of new. So my wife, she goes there and she gets my clothes for me. I still haven't got I've walked around them with my wife, but I've never said, "Oh, I love that," and paid for it. I haven't done that yet. But it's only a matter of time. So thinking of that, and my clothes cost here is very, very minimal, because you're in shorts, you're in t-shirts, you're in your sandals or your flip-flops, or whatever you want to call them, chinchillas as they call them, whatever. So you haven't got that expenditure in heavy clothing. But the idea is you want to come here and you want to build a life that you're not going to regret, and you can easily manage to do it. You can do it on a British pension. You can do it. I'm pretty sure there are people here now who are on a British pension, and they will probably back me up saying, yes, you can. They've been here for a long time and they can do it. But you've got to adapt. You've got to, like I said, the peso is not a monopoly money. Perhaps years and years and years ago it might have been. I don't know, but it's not. And you've got to get that kind of into your head, where every peso you're spending is a peso less that you have to last you for the month. So you have to bear these things in mind. I would suggest not renting a very expensive apartment. If it's only you, then you don't. And how many hours a day are you going to plan on staying in that apartment? I know many of you might not be able to go out in the heat when you first come here, because you've got to become acclimatized to it, if that's at all doable. But you've got to think, it's somewhere to get your head down. It's somewhere clean. There's a kitchen to cook. There's a bed to lay in, and you might have aircon. That's good enough, right? As long as it's not cockroach infested. Obviously, no one wants to live in a cockroach infested place. But you're thinking of your future. This is where you want to be. This is where you want to spend the rest of your days. Then do your utmost to be able to do that, and don't go around, spending, and keep out of the expat trap, as I call it, where you might be involved with a few expats where you live, and they might have more money than you, so they buy in rounds of beer, and then you get caught up in that, and you might have spent like 1,000 or 2,000 pesos in that session, where you think, oh, you know what I mean, that's 1,000 or 2,000 pesos I could have done without spending. But of course, drinks in, wits out, you think, that's all right. Think of these things. It's okay to do it now and then, but not every day. That's just me saying that. And try to keep out of the expensive, the expensive expat traps. Like, that is one of them. Another one is eating out in fancy restaurants, because there are fancy restaurants in Dipolog, and they can cost you a fair amount of money. I mean, if you like eating out, there are plenty of places where you can eat out for 300, 400 pesos, 500 pesos would be a good probably meal here, it'd be a good meal for you. But I would suggest doing a bit of cooking yourself. And it's nice to do a bit of cooking yourself. I've started to do a lot of it now, and I really enjoy it, and it tastes a lot better, and I'm more happy with it. We still go out and have bits and pieces here and there, but not in where I live, because there are no restaurants here. Until my friend Michael gets here, and he's going to open up a place like a bistro. That'd be lovely. I'll be there quite often. Oh, and also, before I go, I've got to say a big thank you to Peter, who gave me some British items, like, he came from England, and he gave me some gravy, he gave me some brown sauce, and all kinds of things. So I do thank you for that. And also, Steve, who also, I met him in Dipolog, we arranged it, and he brought some tea bags and stuff from the UK. So I really appreciate that, people. And I can't tell you how happy I am in the mornings, waking up, and having a nice cup of British tea with some nice milk, half a sugar. And when I'm having my, my dinners now with brown sauce and things like that, and proper gravy, I'm spoiled. So I do thank you all for doing that. I really do. It's much appreciated. So yeah, much appreciated. A big shout out, to Peter and Steve. Thank you so much indeed. And safe journeys back. You're travelling backwards and forwards. That's another thing I couldn't do. I couldn't travel backwards and forwards. It's something I couldn't want to do. You don't have to adopt fully. I'm changing it again. To local habits. Just try and get into them a little bit. Try and get into them. Talk with the local people. Say, where's the best place to get this? Where's the best place to get that? And they will tell you the cheapest places. And this is what we should be thinking. So that being said, can you live here in 2026 on a British pension? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Just be a bit careful. Don't be like a miser and like I never go out and never go for something to eat and like an eatery or something like that, because you can still do them things. Save the money on your rent. Don't go and get somewhere for 10, 15,000 pesos a month when there's just somewhere down the road what's a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom little kind of apartment for 5,000. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, people. Don't forget. You're coming here to live your dream, not to live your nightmare where you think, God, I can't manage on this pension. You aren't coming here to do that. The sooner you fit in and the sooner you can adapt, the happier you will be. Okay? So, that being said, people, I'm over and out. And like I always say, whatever you do, try and do it well. And most importantly, keep healthy. As healthy as you possibly can. Get out and do a bit of exercise, because we don't want no mental medical bills because we've been lazy people and stayed in the house and not exercising our weary bodies. So keep fit, people. See you next time. Take good care. Bye-bye.